Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
Do work that matters for people who care. Now, I can understand you're a coach, consultant, or small to medium business, and I know your goal is to, help your clients, solve their problems and actually make a difference in their lives. That's a given. But sometimes you might just feel like you're not maybe doing enough, or you are not really showing up and making other people's lives better. Because what's the whole point of your existence if it's not to enrich other people's lives and actually make them have a happier existence? You see, I've come to realize that one of the most powerful, and I've lived in so many different cultures. I've lived in Africa, I've lived in Europe, I haven't lived in America though, but I've lived in Australia. And no matter where you go, one of the most powerful attributes that attracts me to a lot of people is not their looks, it's not their income, it's not their job, or not even their beliefs, but it's how much they care. Because let me tell you something, how you do anything is how you do everything. The way you dress, the way you talk, the way you laugh, the way you connect with other human beings really showcases all. It's like a future heat prediction of who you are as a person when people get to connect with you. You know how it is when you just stop somebody and ask them for the time, and then they smile, and then they look at their watch, and then they're like in a rush, try and make small talk with you and ask you if you're lost or you want more information rather than just the time. And you can tell, wait a minute, this person really cares, that this interaction that we have is not just transactional. I ask you exactly what I want from you, and then you give me exactly what I asked off of you. All right, and you can just put that to your work. If somebody asks you for your consulting, your training, your information, or your expertise, you give them exactly that. 1 hour of consulting, 1 hour of training, nothing more, nothing less. And do you think people are going to talk about you at a barbecue, when you do things like that? So if you really want to feel better as a coach, consultant, or small to medium business, you need to see the actual difference that you're making in people's lives. You see, I was recently asked to maybe identify my most memorable thing that I've done in digital marketing in the last 10 years, on a podcast. And it didn't take me time to talk about how I helped a chef who had lost, her way of doing work because she's developed carpal tunnel syndrome. And then I helped her create a business that is now changed her life, okay? Without boring you with details, there's a time when I was doing Facebook Lives, and there's a chef that showed up in one of the lives, and then she was like, I can't start a business. I'm not that technologically savvy and everything else of that nature. And I was like, hey, we can talk after my Facebook Live. And then then she followed up with that, and we had a 30-minute Zoom chat. And I asked her one question, and I asked her, so what is it that you're really, really good at that other people might not have the ability to do? Or do you have any recipes that you can create that other people, might not be able to recreate? Or have you got any secret or specialty things that you can produce that other people cannot? And then, that got her thinking quite a lot. And I then discovered that she was from Hungary, okay? Her origins were, she was Hungarian. So I did mention earlier on that I've lived in Europe. I lived in Germany for about 10 years. 10 months, not 10 years. And while I was there, there's something that made me, get to enjoy the meals a whole lot more there in Germany. It was, a chutney that was actually of Hungarian origin. I don't know how I found it in the shops, but I just started, buying it more and more and just putting it into everything, in my sandwiches, in my food, everywhere that I could add a chutney into. And I was like, wait a minute. I told her that story that when I was in Germany, I actually, fell in love with this chutney. And, maybe that's something that you could bring to the table. And she's like, you know what? I actually do have a recipe that my grandmother taught me. All right. And I was like, why don't you create that? So she went on, created that, and she started selling those to the people that she was working with, and everybody really, really liked it. And she then doubled her batches and went on to start selling at the local markets. So every Sunday when she was not working, she would go to the local markets and sell maybe 10 or 15 bottles of her chutney. And she was really excited that, look at this newly found thing that she had birthed and created is now making a massive, massive difference, in her life, in her whole composure. And I asked her about her carpal tunnel syndrome, and she's like, what carpal tunnel? You know what I mean? So half of the time we're probably doing stuff that is making us sick without us realizing that the enjoyment of us working and contributing will actually make us feel better. But I digress. That's not the lesson in the story here. So, when we started trying to discover how else you could sell more, we created an e-commerce shop. You could actually check it out, miasante.com.au. Mia Sante, basically coming from her name, Megan, and Asante, which is African for thank you. So I'll tell you the whole story behind all of that. Now, M.E.D.I.A is now a brand that you can even find at your local IGA, especially if you're in the Queensland area. Check out even in your butcheries or other places. This is a really serious plug of a product that I helped to bring into the world. So pretty much after that, we started noticing a lot of people were only buying once and not making a repeat purchase. Now, obviously, a business would grow if you actually have people that are buying more, of your products, etc. So we thought of maybe creating a monthly chutney club where somebody would just subscribe a certain amount and then they receive a chutney in their mailbox. But obviously, this is a product that, has shelf life. So I don't think a lot of people are happy to have a lot of it in their homes without having used more of it. So I came up with an idea that I was like, okay, for every person that buys a chutney, why don't you write and create a recipe so they could use more of the product? And wow, that now created yet another arm to the business that she had created, and she put together almost 144 recipes, just by her using her chutneys up there. And we then decided to put a book together. You can actually check out the book, on Amazon. It's called Fusion Safari. And if you open the book, it actually has a dedication to yours truly. It says this book is dedicated to Prosper Taruvinga from Live Long Digital. You could look this up anywhere. I mean, it's one of my biggest, things that I actually accomplished in life, having a book dedicated to you. So now she sells more of these products. She's got 4 different flavors. She sells to restaurants and things of that nature. And I kid you not, her life completely changed so much that she actually has a relationship now, actually has a daughter, based on the fact that she no longer works ridiculous hours, in a restaurant and things of that nature. Now, why am I telling you this story? Yes, I've worked with people like Myer. I've worked with people like Officeworks. I've worked with people, of a higher caliber. I've worked with, a company that's listed in the ASX, stock exchange in Australia. I've worked with over 450 other coaches and consultants in Australia, but none of them pale to the success that I got for this particular client and other clients that I'm going to be telling you all about. It doesn't matter whether how much she paid me or things of that nature, but that single thing that I made a huge difference in her life. And that was about 7 or 8 years ago. And this is now my most memorable job because it has real life results. It actually gone on and worked gangbusters. And in fact, every time I hear a message from her, or or get an email from her, it's about her chutneys winning an award or something to do with the chutneys. At some point, she was actually picked up in a sea of other chutneys and other condiments out there to actually be on Australia's biggest airline. So can you imagine the excitement that comes from, helping somebody who was almost giving up on their profession, who was almost giving up on their life and everything else that came along with it because they were developing a sickness, only a sickness that was being caused by them doing something that they were not enjoying. Why was that job more satisfying than some of the huge projects that I've done for much bigger companies out there? It was satisfying because I could clearly see the results. It's satisfying because it is somebody else's life at stake that we actually changed. I could see how much I had helped, this now friend of mine with her business. And in other words, I had made a difference and I could see it. You know what I mean? It's visible. Everyone will hear of this story. I mean, if you're around me long enough, there's many of these stories out there because now it's become a drug for me to actually have not just, hey, we got them really good SEO results. No, I want real life stories. I want life-changing testimonials, you know what I mean? And I want things that people were coming from like zero to getting so much happening in their life in a way that they can never be able to repay me. So with much of the work that we're doing, yes, we're doing the consulting, the training, the information, the expertise. We definitely need to be there for our customers. We need to be educating them. We need to be inspiring them to want more, be more, and have more. And we need to be there for them because we are doing them a disservice if we don't actually help them to realize whatever potential that they have, inside of them. I mean, with much of our work, we never really get to know what contribution, we are doing to other people. So that's the reason why you need to do work that matters, no matter how many times you interact with people and how many times, or how menial or insignificant you might think the work that you're doing, is to that particular person. You gotta be doing work that matters, no matter what. And do work that you can actually see a difference, because in times when you're down or things of that nature, testimonials like that, case studies like that will be the biggest pick-me-up that other people would, sing your accolades around. Let me tell you something. This is very important because as human beings, we find it deeply satisfying when we see that our skills and hard work are actually worth something. That's the reason why when people get paid, they show up at work. That's the reason why, when people do stuff for other people, because we're here to live, we're here to learn, and we're here to contribute. We are meant to be living our best lives possible, but for us to be able to do that, we need to learn everything that we need to become in order for us to then pass down the elevator by contributing to other human beings. There's other people that just go to work, not necessarily for the money or anything else, but just for the fact that they have made somebody else's life better. There's people that volunteer in, thrift shops. There's people that volunteer at soup kitchens or places like that. They're not doing it for the money, but they're doing it for the smiles that they create in other people. They're doing it in the happiness or just the difference that they're making for other people. What are you doing in your business right now besides collecting revenue or collecting testimonials or collecting receipts or just collecting invoices? I mean, working for money is one thing, but making money is not as meaningful as it, to us, as the knowledge that we're actually doing something that has meaning and that our work is changing people's lives. I'm not suggesting that you stop working for bigger companies or things of that nature, but I'm saying once in a while, create work that matters. Work with people that are not as where you are right now. Create your own team of people that cannot do without you, or people that would always have a story about how you changed their life in some way or form. I mean, especially within a professional or coaching context, when this care, this level of care is mixed with laser precision focus, you actually start doing work that matters. And it's these kind of human interest stories that put you in the media. It's these kind of human interest stories that actually people care about. People don't care about you making $1 million from, your copywriting or your coaching or whatever it is. Yes, that's okay, depending on what fraternity you're from. But people actually want stories that are of a human interest, embedded in them. So this is what doing work that matters means. And this is also borrowing from Seth Godin, you know what I mean? Who says that the emotional labor of being human is to help other people be, do, and have a happier existence. I mean, your customer doesn't care how much you know. Your customer doesn't care how much you earn or things of that nature until they know how much you care. And if they know that you care, not necessarily for them, but for other people and things of that nature, guess what? They will do whatever they can in order to support your business. So like I said, I'm not suggesting that don't work with larger companies, but you might want to consider an occasional job for maybe one of the small companies, or for a cause, a just cause, not just a walk type thing that you might just want to go with the flavor of the month, something that actually makes a difference in somebody's life. And it doesn't matter whether they pay you or not, or whether, they pay you at all. I mean, I never took, money for some of the things that we've ended up doing with Megan. But now I've got the rights to this story. I've got the rights to this book. I've got the rights to most of the work that she's doing. I am sitting in the boardroom when, important decisions are being done for her company. What matters is that from time to time, you get to see and feel that the work that you do is actually important, is actually making a difference. And it's a choice, because doing work that matters is a choice. You decide, do you really want to have the emotional intelligence to wake up every single day and do work that matters? You know how often people ask me, what exactly do you do? Are you a marketer? Are you a motivational speaker? What do you do? Are you a business coach, or what are you? And, let me just give you an example of some of the people that I've actually helped and difference that I've actually made, and some wins that we've made, in life. There was a client whose staff was almost hijacking his business. All right. The thing that was happening is, how, in the digital space, we've got all these tools, we've got all these websites, we've got all these, systems, software as a service that we sign on to. And half of the time, as business owners, we don't pay particular attention to what we're subscribed to. So I had a client who basically had his business hijacked by his staff member. This person was pretty much, they decided when they would work. They decided how they would do timesheets, and they were just, playing with the system. And my client did not even realize that they were being played. So I gave my client the confidence through, all the rights and passwords. We changed everything and all the systems and operations. And now he knows what is now acceptable and what is not for his business. He now knows the exact processes that need to be happening and exactly what his, staff are supposed to be doing and what he's actually paying them for. And the team members that were doing this, some of them have been fired, some have been reined in, and people are now doing work that matters, and his business now has direction. And I'm talking about my client here, rather than the other way around. And this is a very satisfied client. Can you imagine having the reins back from a business that you worked so hard to create, when somebody just comes in with their dirty feet and tries to take it all away from you? Stuff like that. Okay, necessarily me showing up and looking at all the things that they're subscribed to and how they're all working, etc., and really creating a system and a process for him. Yes, I did get paid for that. But imagine you getting that satisfaction. Imagine you getting that peace of mind that the work that you are now doing is amounting to something. Okay, let's go to another example. Maybe that was a fluke. I helped another client with their bottom line. I mean, with my background in working with small to medium businesses, one of the things that I promise people is to be profitable. Can you imagine having created the business that you're in and you can't even turn a profit? You can't even put food on the table. You can't even pay your bills on time. I mean, what I did when I got to this company, I just looked at their products and we started working on their offerings. We started looking at exactly what it is that they were offering their customers, and we did a deep dive on their ideal client clarity, and we did all the strategic messaging, and we looked at their coaching and consulting offers. And guess what we did? The fees started to go up, and we also looked at their pricing and immediately just changed their whole business model. Why did I do that? Because I wanted my clients to have a business that's profitable and enjoyable. Now, guess what? These clients is now, obviously earning over $25,000 per month, whereas they were not able to even utilize the tools that they had before. Okay, my whole job and my role in this whole equation is being a marketer, right? I had clients that had no business coming through the door. A particular client came to me for a marketing plan. And their business was almost going to shut down and they were on the verge of bankruptcy. All right. And, they had no business coming through the door and almost no future bookings. So literally they were on their last dime. And they were like, you know what? They had a really good product. They had a really good margin. And I looked at all of those things and I was like, okay, I can help you. And you can just give me 10% of whatever we make. And let's see how it all works out. And you know what I did? I gave them about 14 marketing strategies for all the products that they had. And, we made it, easy for them to actually start creating and generating leads for their business. And now, guess what? They're like 50% booked. And obviously, it's not perfect, but it's getting there. Can you imagine from 0 to actually 50% booked, and you're actually now able to maybe cancel some people that, you can't service? And for the first time in months, their business is now trading close to a profit. And now our focus is to grow it, for that profit. I want to get paid. I want my 10%. But can you imagine the difference that I've made in this person's life? Because their business, they felt like nobody wanted to buy what it is that they were selling. And they relied on their business to put food and pay rent, Can you imagine the enormous strain that they were going through? And they were even terrified that they were going to give up on their dreams and return to a safe 9-to-5 plus a bankruptcy on top of that. Not only that, you know how I help other people become productive? You know why? Because I'm also a productivity Nazi. This is the first time I've said this. I've helped my clients keep on task. I was working with one, coach who knows heaps about business, which is good, and what they should be doing, but they admitted that they actually lose focus, they get bored easily, and they have that shiny object syndrome. In other words, you know what happens? They've got great ideas, they just start heaps of things, but they never finish anything, which is what a lot of entrepreneurs go through, you know what I mean? We're starters, but we're not finishers. Half of the time, we need somebody who can pick up, after us and implement everything else that we start. And you know what we did? We switched, to daily. Yes, I was doing this daily with them. Accountability, which made such a huge difference to his productivity and his bottom line. And, we looked at the 6 areas that they needed to focus on. And we were communicating around those 6 areas just so that they are actually doing something. Do you know what the word focus actually is an acronym for? Follow one course until successful. That's what we started doing with this person, and they got back their time. They started enjoying their business a whole lot more, and guess what happened? Profit, baby, profit. Not only that, there's people that show up to me and say, hey, where do I begin? I don't even know anything about funnels. I don't know anything about marketing. I don't know anything about, generating leads. I don't know anything about social media. I don't know anything about digital marketing. This is usually a common ailment that a lot of small to medium businesses have, or coaches or consultant. And you know what? They want the success, the accolades, the money, the publicity, everything else. But and I know they're really good at what they do, but they're not always the greatest at business, or actually implementing, or knowing what actually needs to happen in order for them to grow their business. And half of the time they get stuck in the what to do stage, or how to do it. So I had a client who had a dream. But it was just that, a dream, and, there was no clarity or specifics around what it is that they were doing. A dream without specific actions or specific things that you need to be doing is just a wish. You got to be really clear on what you want. So we got clear on the planning session. We mapped out a clear outline on the steps that they needed to take, and simply started working through that list. Just that. You just have a list. I talk about this in all my podcasts. And, guess what? Now they are profitable and enjoyable. So let me tell you something. You are working with people that are going through stuff as a coach or consultant. It might be their health, their wealth, or their relationships. And guess what? Clients get stuck in so many areas. It could be their operations, their staff, their marketing, their sales, their finances, anything, their investment. The list goes on. What is it that you not necessarily are doing within your business, but you have also, accomplished that you can help your clients be, do, and have? Because let me tell you something, being in business, for yourself doesn't mean that you are in business by yourself. There's people out there that you can help, even if it's not necessarily what you are charging them for immediately. The easiest way for you to actually find out how more things you can help people with is look at your family. Look at the relationships that you have. Look at your spiritual and emotional well-being. Look at your physical health. Look at your attitudes. Look at the growth mindset that you have. Look at your finances. Look at how you are culturally, in tune. So many people are just headless chickens moving around out there. So in order for you to actually protect your revenue, protect your invoice, to actually have the opportunity to get paid every single month, make sure your clients are performing at the optimum level. Not only are you going to be helping them, but you're only protecting yourself. Because if your clients are not going to do well or feel well, guess what's going to happen? They're going to cancel every subscription that they have, and yours might be one of them. So let me tell you something, man. Being a business coach is not just about motivating people or just sharing your expertise or things of that nature. Give people ideas. Give them direction. Connect with people. Connect them to other people that are going through stuff that you're working with as well. Help people by actually helping them. Doesn't matter whether you're a designer, whether you're an AdWords expert, or an exceptional whatever it is that you're doing right now. Go out and help people. Actually make a difference in people's lives. Don't just show up and build them. Be there every step of the way, because you're doing them a disservice if you're not helping them with every aspect of your life. Right now, what are you embarrassed with? What is it that you're actually struggling with as a coach or consultant? And what are you doing about it? And once you can answer that question truthfully, guess what? That is a product. So maybe you're struggling with your health. Document how you're going through, all the things that you're doing in order for you to regain your health back. And then that could be a product that you can offer your clients, because what you're going through is something that other people will be going through after as well. This is what people want from us. They want belonging. They want connection. They want peace of mind. They want status. They want to be valued. What can you do with your business in order to give people this decency? Like, for real, for real. I'm not suggesting that you stop working with larger companies, but you might consider working with smaller people that you can literally make a huge, huge difference from. If you go and do work for Apple or you do work for Officeworks, they won't even notice. You won't even be recognized. But if you do something for a mom and pop shop, you do something for the lady down the road, they will go to their grave and keep talking about how you made a difference in their life. Now, which is much better? Yes, it's better to work for Apple and get the big fat paycheck, but if you have somebody who keeps talking about you at a barbecue, wouldn't that be nice? I really want you to go out and start delivering outstanding results for your clients. That way, you can win loyalty for them for life. And guess what? When people are loyal, they sing your praises, to their family, to their friends, to their colleagues at barbecues, and even strangers on the bus. So you want to be giving, and being a giver is the most selfish thing that you could ever do. Because right now, I gave 30 minutes of my time, and guess what? We both get to keep this time, because whatever you're going to use this time for will make a difference in your life. And guess what? This can now be a testimony that you heard it on a podcast. I don't know what you're going to do with this information. If you want to take advantage of really making a difference in your client's life, why don't you schedule a call with me and we can actually work hands-on to develop that strategic plan for you to literally, help people by actually helping them. We'll look at your messaging, we'll look at your consulting offers, and then we'll look at the pricing that you're charging people and optimize your business model. And eventually, as a digital marketer, I'll just help you set your marketing engine and lead generation system so you can constantly attract your ideal clients. I mean, seriously, working for money is one thing, but making money is not as meaningful as the knowledge that, what we do matters. What we're doing is making a difference, and that our work can actually change lives. I'm hoping I've changed your life today. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au